Hey everyone, and welcome to the Just Get Hired podcast. Fired, furloughed, reduction in force. All three of those things mean you're out of a job. There's an uncertainty of what comes next, and that hits home. Listen, I've gone through all three of these things in my life, and each time was an opportunity to try something new. Don't get me wrong, it's scary to think about how you're going to provide for your family, how you're going to pay the bills, and even if you're going to find another job. But all of these things happen for a reason, and as unfortunate as the situation is, it gives you the opportunity to redefine who you are. Every morning when I open up my laptop and scroll through LinkedIn, I see countless posts from another colleague, another connection who's been laid off. Notwithstanding, though, it's also refreshing to see that after one person posts, there's hundreds of people right behind it trying to offer their help and support. I've been there. It's a lot of sleepless nights, lots of anger, tons of frustration, a sense of nervousness, and maybe a little bit of excitement about what might happen next. When you lose your job for the first time, you have a lot of questions that run through your head. Why me? Could I have done something different? What am I going to do? Well, I've learned a few lessons from each time this has happened to me. I've been fired, I've been furloughed, I've had my position eliminated. So I thought that my life lessons could maybe help someone else who is also going through the same thing. So I wanted to share them with you. Before we begin though, if you're new to the show, or maybe you've been around for a while, hey everyone, my name is Jessica Fiesta George, and I'm your host of Just Get Hired. This is a podcast where I help job seekers and business professionals level up their careers and their opportunities. We talk about everything from personal branding to the latest in HR technology. I also share a lot of trends that are happening in the workplace, and you get to meet top disruptors in the HR and talent space. If you like my content, you can go over to my website, justgethired.com. You can learn a lot more about me, a little bit more about my guest, and see how I can help you. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn by searching my full name, Jessica Fiesta George, and head over to my Instagram page, Just Get Hired. Bouncing back after being let go from a job. I've learned a lot of things. I'm going to share some tips to help you through it, and hopefully we can turn this unfortunate event into something positive to help you get to that next opportunity that's waiting just for you. You're listening to episode 43 of the Just Get Hired podcast, and we're talking about bouncing back. Bouncing back after you've been let go from a job. Maybe you've been laid off. Maybe you've been fired before. Maybe your position's being eliminated. Maybe there's a reduction in force. All of those things I've been through before. So trust me, I understand. If this is something that you're going through, I'm hoping to share my experience and my insight with you. I was interviewed recently by an online magazine called Canvas Rebel, and they asked me about a time in my career where I had to pivot. So that kind of inspired this episode. I know a lot of you right now are going through a layoff. Maybe your position's been eliminated. Maybe you know someone who's been laid off or terminated for the first time. A lot of people, when this happens, you're unsure who to turn to, who to talk to, where to go, what to do. So, again, I want to share some of my insight and some of my personal experiences and my stories with you if this is something that you're going through right now, and hopefully we can help each other. Well, the editors of Canvas Rebel had asked me, can you tell us a time where you've had to pivot? So I shared with them a personal story of mine that I would like to share with you guys that happened in my professional life not too long ago. But I've had a lot of pivots in my lifetime, and each time has allowed me to reroute my path and my vision. Like I said, I've been laid off before. That's never fun. I've been fired before. Always was embarrassed to share that fact, but it's true. I was fired twice before in my career, and each time I've learned something different. So I don't mind sharing that story anymore like I used to hide it, the fact that I was fired because of the stigma about being fired. But I'm not embarrassed to tell people about it because it's made me that much stronger in my career. And then I was furloughed. I didn't even know what furloughed meant, but during COVID, I was furloughed from my job as many recruiters were at the time because of COVID. And then we were brought back. And then I know a lot of recruiters right now have also been going through a reduction in force and their positions have been eliminated. So I know a lot of people right now who are going through each of these different cycles in their career. Well, each time this happens, there's that level of uncertainty that's ahead, and you start to fear about what's going to happen to you in the future. How are you going to provide for your family? How are you going to pay the bills? And each time that happens, your confidence starts to shatter. You don't really know what to think. You start to question yourself and second guessing everything that you're doing. It's tough to hear the words, "We're eliminating your position," or "I'm sorry, we have to let you go," especially when you believe that you're at the peak of your career and you genuinely love what you do. So that's what happened to me. I was in the middle of implementing a recruiting process and a department from the ground up. In fact, I was actually brought into the role. The position was created for me so I could do just that. I was in charge of talent acquisition for this large retailer, and they wanted me to build the process and the department. So I was creating a program that we rolled out nationally to all of our store locations, and we were in the middle of implementing it. We had a huge marketing campaign, we had company swag, we even had t shirts made. We had a lot of training programs that I was involved in. I was in the middle of hiring and training a whole team of people for a new department we were establishing, and we were onboarding everyone. So when my boss calls me into his office and tells me we're eliminating your position, trust me, I was pissed off. I was also in the middle of consolidating a call center operation and moving it from one state to another state. So that was a huge task in itself. So between doing my job, relocating a call center operations, training, hiring, and doing the things that I knew that I had to get done, to hear the fact that you're eliminating my position after you've already asked me to relocate to the corporate headquarters was astonishing to me. So months before all of this happened, the C level was recognizing me for all of the things that I was doing. I got high fives from people, and people were patting me on the shoulder and patting me on the back. And I was in the middle of deciding how I'm going to relocate my family from Florida to North Carolina. So I was in the middle of doing my job and finding the perfect little apartment when my boss called me to tell me that they didn't need a director level position at this time. So I was hurt. I was confused. I was angry. I felt deflated. All of that time and energy that I put into the company just felt pointless. My confidence was shattered because I started questioning all of my abilities. Like, where did I go wrong? What did I do? Did I do something wrong? Why is my name on the list? I thought for sure, with all of the things that they're asking me to do, there's no way that I could be on that list. I know the company was downsizing, so I knew eventually it was going to happen, but not to me. And everybody who's gone through this always says, "Why me?" Well, despite the fact they did allow me to work until the end of the year or until I found a new job, they gave me a severance. I was able to work through a couple of different things, but I continued to push through the different initiatives that I came up with because I knew that even if I wasn't there, someone had to take care of it. And I knew that was going to be my next career pivot. So my new job became looking for a new job. Now, fortunately, the person who originally hired me into that role, who created the position for me, who wanted me to create the recruiting process and a department, moved on to another company. Maybe he saw the writing on the wall before I did, but I've been very fortunate enough to keep contact with him, and I consider him a mentor to me. So you always hear people tell you never burn bridges. I always tell people never burn a bridge because you never know when you have to cross it. And instead, you have to invest in relationships that you know are going to make you stronger. So you hear this all the time. Relationship building is so important. And I can tell you that the reason why I have the jobs that I've had since then is because of the relationships that I've created. So my former boss continues to be a mentor to me, and he is my current boss. So I'll get to that in just a minute. But he recognized my dilemma. He knew my work ethic, he knew my drive, he knew my abilities. That's why he hired me to begin with. And so now that he's in a different role, he was in the position to look for another talent acquisition leader, but he couldn't really bring me in at the pay level or the job title level that I was currently at. So I had to take a hard look in the mirror. Do I want to take a step back, or is this even a step back? And do I take this job because I know I need a job? Or do I put my faith in the fact that I would be working for a leader who believes in me, who knows my efforts, and a company who values me as an employee and as a person? So I did take that leap of faith. I took the job. On paper, yes, it was a demotion. I took a pay cut, but I knew that if my boss and my mentor believed in me, I could prove why I'm worth what I am. So fast forward, I'm very thankful I stuck it out because I am in the position that I am right now because of him. Despite being furloughed during the pandemic, I was able to find another job that helped me learn so much about myself. But I was able to also come back because they had a different role for me. And that's the position that I am in right now. So I get to work advising private equity clients on different talent acquisition strategies. So instead of me working for one company, I get the opportunity to work with multiple companies at a time. So that's just one peek of one instance in my career where my position was eliminated. But I want to break it down even further to share with you what to expect if you hear those words, we have to let you go.
Worried about your next performance review? Download Chia Seed, a new career app that delivers personalized expert help in your review moment and throughout the year. With Chia Seed, you won't just get a performance review, you'll master your performance review. You'll save time, improve results, navigate bias, and get support. Find Chia Seed in the App Store and Play Store, spelled like the superfood chia seed, but with an E, CHEA, your career helping expert app.
This is episode 43 of the Just Get Hired podcast, and I'm talking about bouncing back after job loss. You get the word that your position's eliminated. What do you do next? Do you go online? Do you start bashing the company? Do you start bashing your boss? I hope not. Or do you turn this around as a way for you to reinvent yourself and your career? Well, hopefully you choose wisely and you know that this is your career pivot. So many times you see this on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok. People go through that emotion of being let go from their job and they immediately go on social media and post negative crap about their boss or their company. This is not what you should do. Please don't do that. We all go through that emotion, but this is not the time or place for you to self sabotage yourself. Like I told you guys, I've been through this before. I've gone through all the different phases. I've been fired. I've been let go from my job. My position's been eliminated. I've been furloughed. So here are a few things that I've learned. The first thing, and I'm going to say it bluntly, it sucks. The next few days and the next few weeks are going to suck. It's going to be uncomfortable for you. You have to leave a lot of things behind that were familiar to you. You're going to lose access to your emails, your laptop. So if you have anything personal on your company laptop or in your emails, make sure that you're always backing that up somewhere else. Plus, you shouldn't even be using your company computer. You're also going to lose a lot of other perks that you probably took for granted, like hitting up the snack machine, going to company happy hours, those little get togethers that you used to have. But the one thing that you're not going to lose are the relationships that you created. So that is my first tip. The relationships that you have is definitely going to be important. So don't go bashing people on your way out the door. People are getting laid off. They have to go somewhere. People quit. They have to go somewhere. Those people eventually will remember you. So if you go flinging your middle finger to them on your way out the door, they're going to remember you for that. So make sure that you take care of the people that you have in your life right now, especially at work. Those people are going to go somewhere else and they might need someone with your talent and your skills, and they're going to remember you. You never know what kind of impression that you make. So someday you might be useful to you, they might be useful to you in your career. So if you are working right now, maybe you don't have the best relationship with your coworkers, maybe you had a disagreement with somebody at work. We all need to work on those relationships. We all move onward, we all move upward. So you want to leave on good terms. One day someone's going to need your recommendation. One day you're going to need their recommendation. So make sure that they have your back in the future. The other thing is, yes, it really sucks. Okay. We all had goals. We all have dreams. We all have aspirations, especially when you started the job. You accepted the job with all of these grandiose visions of what you wanted your career to be. But that doesn't mean that it has to end. Just because your position is being eliminated doesn't mean you can't continue to achieve your goals. Will it be slowed down? Yeah, maybe. But what did you like about your role? What type of projects were you good at? Were there some things that you had on your list that you still have to achieve? So, all of those answers should fuel what you want in your next company or your next position and what you want in the future. Do you even want a similar role? A lot of people find out that they really didn't like what they were doing. Maybe you need to transition into something new. So, this is your chance that you can do it over and maybe do it better. I know a lot of people who also made that shift from working for a company to working for themselves. Business ownership and being an entrepreneur might be the path that you want to create for yourself, and that corporate 9 to 5 that you had was just getting in your way. The other thing is make sure you have a plan. So, what if this happens to you again? Like I said, I've been fired, and then when I went to a job, that position got eliminated. So, I didn't think those things would happen, but they do. So you want to make sure that you have a plan. Do you have enough in your savings account to hold you over? What are some other jobs that you can do, even if it is temporarily? So I was furloughed. I was making 6 figures. Then I went from making that to making $15 an hour at a retail job because I knew that's what I needed to do. I had to get out of the house, not only to keep my sanity, but to also pay some little bills that I had. I took a job as a cashier at a department store, and I continued to look at what I wanted to do next. So I took this time not only to network with the people at my new job, because these are people I probably would have never met if I didn't take the job, but I also continued working on my online presence. I started networking more on LinkedIn. I started to focus on my professional development. I know I wasn't in an ideal situation, but again, I knew it was temporary. It was a little setback, and I wasn't going to let that ruin my persistence. And as they say, the comeback is always stronger than the setback. And I made that my personal mission statement. The other thing you need to do is invest in yourself. You're going to make personal sacrifices because you're not working. You have to take care of yourself. How are you going to show up differently to potential clients or maybe potential employers? I talk about this all the time, but personal branding is so important. You have to learn how to show up online because future prospects and future employers are looking at that. How are you going to represent them in the future? So take this time to invest in yourself, revamp your LinkedIn profile, rework that resume, clean up your social media, work on your current friendships and your relationships, work out more. Time to eat better. Do whatever you need to do to be a better version of you. Now, you have no more excuses. You're not working right now, so you have all the time to focus on this. Focus on yourself. The other thing I always say too is get your shit together. You're going to need to file for unemployment. Go register at local workforce centers, contact your creditors, be honest about your finances, and set a budget. Prepare yourself on how to look for a job. I take that for granted because I'm a recruiter. I'm always helping people get work, but do I even know what I need to do to look for a job? So work on your interview skills. Make an honest assessment about what type of jobs you're willing to accept. What's your low end of the budget that you're willing to take for salary, even if it's temporary? Acknowledge your emotions and move on. So that's another tip. Like I said this several times, it sucks. I get it. Get it out of your system. You're going to be mad. You're going to be angry. You're confused. You're upset. It's a roller coaster of emotions, but get over it and move on. This won't be forever unless you want it to be. And then I guess the final thing is prepare your narrative. How are you going to explain job gaps if you have a long or a big gap in between dates? If you were terminated or let go from your job, what kind of story are you going to tell? Give your spin on it. You can't lie about it, but make sure that you give your narrative. You have to remain positive, what you've learned about the situation. Every manager, every leader has gone through either side of job elimination. Either they've had the position of being the person to eliminate a position, or they've been eliminated themselves. So you're not telling them something that they wouldn't know how to relate to. Well, those are some of my tips. Just to summarize it for you, 1, it sucks. You're going to be uncomfortable. Don't ruin relationships on the way out the door. 2, your dreams, your goals, your aspirations don't have to end just because your job does. What can you do to reinvent yourself? 3, plan ahead. What can you do if your job does get eliminated? Think creatively and think positively. The 4th thing is invest in yourself. Time to focus on being a better version of you. Consider it Unemployed 2.0. How are you going to upgrade? Get your shit together. How are you going to get your finances, your relationships, professional life, your personal life? Check, check, and check. Acknowledge your emotions and move on, sister. And the last thing is prepare your narrative. Now, I'm sure there's other things we can add to this list, so I want to hear from you. If you've been eliminated from a job, what strategies are you taking to get through it? What are some questions that you have or other things that you want to address that you want me to share with you? I would love to help you get through this if this is something you're going through. One of the things I do offer is a free LinkedIn review if you are going through the job search right now, and I can assist you with rewriting your resume. I'm tied to a lot of career coaches, a lot of resume writers that are in my network, so I don't mind connecting you to people if that is something that you need. I also don't mind helping you with your interview process. So if you want to do a free mock interview to help prepare you for your next role, you can find me on my website or on LinkedIn, and I want to talk to you. So look me up. You can also email me at jessgethired@gmail.com or my website, jessgethired.com. So these are some of the tips that I have. I hope that you guys keep going, fight through the bad days. Things are going to fall apart before they fall in place again. Maybe that wasn't meant for you and something bigger and better is on the other side. It sucks, but there's steps for you to take because you're that much closer to getting something even bigger and better than you were doing before. Well, my name is Jessica Fiesta George. Trust the process. I'm your host of the Just Get Hired podcast. What do you guys want to talk about next? I'll catch you on my next episode.